Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Leadnap Gaming. Today we're going to talk about where Star Citizen is at, a touch on the new 3000 series of GPUs, and of course we'll mention August's names.
Systems activated. Systems on.
Before we get started today, I want to thank all of you for the well wishes. It's never fun to discover an allergy, especially one connected to the butt of a wasp. Another thing I wanted to hit on really fast was that September is Suicide Awareness Month here in the United States. ArenaNet, who make Guild Wars 2, teamed up with Seize the Awkward to promote awareness in-game, and while the developers I follow haven't taken a cue yet, I wanted to support that. I've lost a few close friends to suicide, and I've witnessed a few others. I care a lot about this, and I want to encourage you to ask for help if you need it, and ask your friends if you think they need it. There's no harm in asking. It takes courage to ask for yourself, and if you have no one else, email me. It may take me a day or two to get back to you, but I will get back to you. By now, the 3080 has been covered ad nauseum, so I scrapped my video about it as well. It's big, it needs a lot of power, and odds are your current system's bottlenecked everywhere but the GPU. I think the 3070 will hit a better sweet spot in the market when it comes out, but don't go rushing to pick one of these beasts up if your other components are already lagging behind. Ignore claims everything else is obsolete. They're perfectly good, and better yet, you can now upgrade to the previous generation for far less. Ignore calls for future-proofing. That's just a waste of money. Just ask anyone who purchased a 2080 Ti last month. If you really want me to cover this more, let me know down in the comments. So now let's dive into the real story for today. Cloud Imperium Gaming. Brace yourself here because I'm going to be critical of CIG and their practices. No, I still care very much about Star Citizen. I still have high hopes for it, and I look forward to a someday release. However, as someone invested into Star Citizen, it's okay and it's good to be critical of how they're doing what it is they do. And frankly, it doesn't seem like much at all. But lad, they did this and they did that. Yeah. I want to remind you that this time last year, we were all drinking up that when SOCs rolled out, we would have server stability finally. Persistence was going to be a game changer, and not that it wasn't, but so on and so forth. Here we are, September 2020, and frankly, the servers are at the same, if not worse place than they were this time last year. Once again, the talking heads of CIG are telling us that iCache and meshing are going to be the golden ticket. I'm not saying they're wrong, but just by now, there's very little credibility to carry that statement. But this isn't about crucifying technical issues at all. I work in IT. I spend hours on the phone in meetings trying to resolve simple systems that don't work correctly because they're tied to a much more complex system. This episode is not about server stability at all. Rather, it's about message. CIG has become tone deaf. Here goes Led on his PR soapbox, but it's the space whale in the room that the White Knights are only starting to go near. Morphologist the other day issued his own pronouncement on what's missing in Star Citizen and how CIG could fix it. I don't disagree with him, so much as I think he's long overdue in making that point. For those of us counting years in the project, like him, it seems that he suddenly woke up from some sort of dream the rest of us stopped having a long time ago. More importantly, he seems to miss the point as I see it. Star Citizen's biggest problem is lack of content. Star Citizen does not have pay to win because there's nothing to win. Star Citizen does not have progression. A new player doesn't have a ship a long-time player has, simply because they haven't seen an annual sale yet. Again, this isn't to say Morph was wrong. He's right in what's lacking when it comes to new players versus old players. CIG hasn't helped any. That bomber jacket I really liked from Invictus Week 2950 has died to persistence failure. However, not having a cool jacket or unlocking some armor skin isn't what's keeping so many of CIG's biggest backers, let alone everyday small hangar guys, away from playing but a few hours each patch. That's lack of content. There is none, at least not after a month or two in the verse. This has nothing to do with development schedules either. This is CIG's dependence on emergent gameplay, which is their term for when they build a sandbox and you make up the game you play in it. There is little doubt that the Jump Town days were the best in Star Citizen to date. This single phenomena redirected CIG's production thinking, and still, somehow they found a way to break it. It's almost impossible to really make money drug writing now, and not because of new interdiction features. Not because players are afraid of going to prison. Jumptown died when CIG made it unprofitable. It wasn't that CIG introduced new ways to make money, which they did, but selling drugs is now so difficult and time-consuming, no one's willing to do it. It's the hardest way to make money. It speaks to CIG not understanding why people were there to do it in the first place. Even if you had $20 million in the bank, you were still running drugs. Guys had 3 to 4 ships filled with drugs parked at Grimhex, and they were trying to squeeze a few SU of Widow into an Aurora if they had one in their hangar and there was a safe JT. It also speaks to what CIG had and lost. But what does this have to do with PR? After all, the marketing team doesn't make the calls when it comes to what parts of the roadmap get love. But they do control the roadmap. Now, in this respect, we're more talking about public relations, but take the new roadmap. Same as the old roadmap. Unless we're given access to the legit project management report the programming teams are actually using, any roadmap CIG provides is propaganda, and is frankly just as good as the original roadmap. That will never happen, nor exactly does it need to. The complaints about the old roadmap centered on things falling off of it, not that it wasn't current or gave enough information. The new roadmap isn't doing anything to keep stuff on the roadmap at all. Multiple content creators have remarked now that given the hollow shell, once again this year, that 3.11 patch is, there's question that it should even be released at all, or postponing it until there is something in it. We can rely on CIG, however, to release 3.11, with a lot of fanfare and hoopla, yet 3.11 isn't any better than 3.10.2, 3.10.1, 3.10, 3.9, well, you get the point. In fact, it's been a really down year for CIG, and you could say that's pandemic related, but at this point, it's just clear CIG never got off the ground in January, knowing it had all of Q1 locked up with a new ship release each month. When you look back to last year, at this time, the Mantis was releasing. We had just gone through the Corsair sale, and I'm sure you mentally thought that it had been so much longer ago that these things happened. Yet when you think about 2020, the last big thing to hit was the Prowler, and that was supposed to happen 10 months ago. Back on the roadmap, though, that's where you see this tone-deaf public relations issue taking place. The community has been getting a bit unrestful over stability issues and persistence problems making the game unplayable. The CIG PR machine responds with an ISC all about light mechanics. Who was complaining the game looked bad? Complaints about projects falling behind, and CIG releases a new improved roadmap that they continue to remove things from. These are examples of CIG trying to put out an electrical fire with a hose. It's tone deaf. We finally managed to get some server stability details from BoardGamer, the unofficial PR outlet for CIG, but credit where credit's due. Board went to them. We keep getting fancy snippets of the Star Runner and Hercules completion progress. Final textures appear to be going in, and everyone's expecting Orison to be the virtual Sitcon rollout, complete with the first 2 Crusader ships. Is the marketing team promoting this? No. Amid growing criticism from the community about a lack of new ships coming out, and the ships we're all excited for, despite seeing shown constant, hey, they're almost done shots, CIG releases 2 new light fighters with a catch. First off, no one was saying, you know what Star Citizen really needs? More light fighters. The Tavoran fighters won't release until December, which says either CIG missed the deadline to have them ready for sale now, or it was a Hail Mary to release something, and the closest thing that wasn't for Sitcon were these 2. Don't get me started on the whole armor and helmet issue here too, which continues to show that the new CIG is the same CIG of yesteryear. If you were so determined to release a series of light fighters, why not the ones you sold us as pixels last year? You know, the ones that would be perfect for building hype for a Crusader unveiling? Yes, I'm talking about the Starfighters. CIG has gone tone deaf. I won't call it burying their head in the sand, but they have some Coke bottle rose-colored glasses on right now. Not only are they going to launch a free fly event on a broken patch with nothing big to cap it off at the end, but they seem not to hear any criticism of their product. We don't need a stun gun or a grenade launcher. We need game loops. We need something to do in the verse, and until that happens, an improved lighting engine, a new Technicolor light fighter, another planet to land on mean nothing. You can't expect the player base to create your emergent gameplay. Jumptown was awesome, But Jumptown also only existed in an alpha playtest of a larger game. That was 2 years ago. This shouldn't take away from the hard work CIG has been doing. Server stability is non-existent, but that isn't because the networking team hasn't put in hard hours of work getting this to work right. The new fighters are cool to look at, and we certainly had use for a mining truck. Maybe the Invictus jacket will come back to my inventory someday. The best part, though, is CIG can easily fix all of this tone deafness. It won't hurt them to eat a little humble pie and do an ISC with the networking team. Let them talk for an hour about why things are complicated, why we're seeing the problems we have today. We don't need to wait until SitCon to have a panel discussion today about it. CIG admitting they had problems this year isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign they care about getting it right. CIG carrying on like everything is fine, well, that just fuels speculation about Scam Citizen. What do you think? Has CIG properly addressed community complaints? Do you feel like they're on target this year? Let's chat in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you all next time.